Hello?
Hello, world.
We're here.
This is so a GIF that's not appropriate for what is happening, which means I have to use it. Random Gorga GIF for the serotonin. Oh, Judge.
Sure.
Edge. Name is Chedge.
Judge.
While we wait for people to get here, we're just going to recount anything Telemine has ever said.
Sickester.
I can't believe I have context for that now. I'm past Telemine. I have passed Telemine.
Oh my god.
Grandpapa, are you okay?
It's always good when you have to. It's always good when you have to ask someone that. Just be like, are you okay? Dude, your grandpa sucks. It's getting on my freaking nerves.
What? Oh, yeah. Fabian, friend's a little dick. Also, you know that word. He is reminiscent of a little dick.
Tiny dick.
Oh. I cannot believe that compilation excludes the part where he does a crazy elven dance ritual in a sumo-like diaper.
What? I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what?
Sophomore year is fucking wild.
I mean, yeah, but what?
Explaining the context for that takes so much time.
An elven
would take, like,
sumo
30 minutes.
ritual.
No, it's a dance ritual. He just happened to be dressed like a sumo wrestler.
Oh, the two one.
That was not a necessary part of the ritual.
The two
Everyone
things
else
are
was
not
dressed very
congruent.
normally.
Okay.
How was it necessarily even a ritual? It was like a spur of the moment dance thing that happened, but it had like a ritualistic vibe.
Right.
Explaining the full breakdown. I was gonna say the breakdown of events, but just the breakdown that happened to lead to that would take too long. Because I would have to explain all of Fabian's a good, no, a bad, no good, a day.
Oh my god. It literally.
It would take too long. It would take too long.
It literally is like the epitome of the two kinds of D&D of Critical Role. Of like the hyper story. I mean, obviously they have their meme moments, but everybody remembers like the hyper story, insane. It's like super intense, and all I know about Dimension 20 is just memes and
I'm sorry.
doing ridiculous crap.
I need you to know that I have audibly gasped probably more at the Fantasy High story than I did at the Critical Role story.
Oh.
Fantasy High story has moments where I've had to physically walk away from my computer because I was either so shocked, angry, or upset.
Wow.
Plot of Fantasy High is astounding. Crown of Candy is even more crazy, but I haven't watched all of that. Would highly recommend. Maybe I will literally force you to marathon the first season of Fantasy High with me.
Potentially.
Because the first season of Fantasy High is on YouTube. Only sophomore year.
And how long are they? Because they're not Critical Role length, are they?
I think the first season is mostly like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Episode length. And
Yeah.
there's 15 of them.
Yeah, so nowhere near Critical Role, which gets into like 3-hour sessions.
It's not
and there's,
early.
like,
It's
and
not
there's,
early
like,
Critical
100
Role
of
that
them.
are 6 hours long.
Yeah, 4-hour sessions and there's 100 of them.
Looking at myself over here instead of the camera, which is it. I'm gonna minimize that. Yeah, no, it's nowhere near Coral. I think any of them were over 3 hours in any of their shows. Even Prompocalypse, which is the last one of episode 1, I think it does go over, but it's in 2 parts, like posted separately. And I think they were 2. No, they were 2 different sessions for them. I think the last one.
I should probably warm up, huh? Just been sat on this screen.
I will warn you, I have been hyper-focusing on Fantasy High for the last Saturday.
I was just sat on the screen that said it's time to stream and hadn't done anything for a good 5-6 minutes, however long we've been live.
Hello, Darren.
Hi.
But yeah, I've been hyper-focusing on that for the last, like, 4 days, so I may just go off about it without warning.
That is fine.
Without reason. And I literally can't help it.
You do not have to apologize. I feel like one thing I've never done is I've never gone off about the Adventure Zone, because that's one that you haven't been privy to.
I have not watched the Adventure Zone.
No,
I struggle with things that do not have a visual component.
Which is fair, but my god. It is definitely one that snowballs.
You know how crazy it gets.
It definitely snowballs. At the start, it is just major goofs, and there is a lot of goofs like all the time, but it gets so rapid at the end because they've split it into arcs, and it's literally just like goof, 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 semi-serious, doomsday.
I think I have seen the first season of Fantasy High follows a similar arc. I have seen more like. For something I don't have any context for and don't watch, I have seen more like heartbreakingly sad art of the Adventure Zone than any other indie show. It's
because it's so contrasting. Like there's so many.
But, like I can tell that in the character design.
Yeah, there's so many ridiculous goofs, and then literally Griffin will rip your heart out, and you're like, what? You're just there like sobbing, just like what happened? What happened? Like, if the podcast is like just not something for you, when you come over, you are welcome to read the comics. Because I have book 1 and book 2, and I am this close to buying book 3 because it just came out.
It's nice.
So you could 100% read them.
Would probably be able to read them in like 20 minutes. So
yes, because of course, being in a comic format, a lot of the ridiculous, nonsensical stuff is removed. Like it is obviously just the story bit. Like there,
condensed plot.
Yeah, there obviously isn't the hour and a half combat in the swamp because that didn't advance the story. So they just sort of skip that bit.
I'm interested to see how they do with that with the Critical Role series. Continue my Hades playthrough. Hell yes! I heard you had fallen into the Hades hype. I'm so excited.
Hello, Latin.
Hello. Welcome everyone. Playlist for another OC I made in my head this week that I'm never going to get to play.
I keep thinking that I want to make an extra playlist, but I literally don't know what to put on it.
Iphignia's playlist took me a long time, and it's still not in like a super fleshed out place. So give it time. I don't think I had like a good idea of. Put it this way. I think some of Stormblood, yes, but Shadowbringers gives you a lot of room to explore your character.
Ooh, okay.
It didn't have like a really, really strong idea of Iphignia as a character, like in a broader sense, not just as the Warrior of Light until Shadowbringers.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, I'm halfway there.
Yeah, well, the thing is as well, like you're already thinking of Exa more completely than I was thinking of Iphignia at this point. So.
True.
Although saying that, I think this expansion helped because I decided from the outset that Iphignia was Doman.
You already knew about that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, I haven't really known anything about the gang, because obviously I've been staying spoiler free, which is why I was like, oh, I don't know where X is from, because I feel like I haven't found anywhere that seems suitable.
Seems right, yeah.
Yeah, like in the lore, like I looked
Hello,
up. Hello. Lovely to see you as always.
Yeah, I think I've got like a couple ideas, but I want to see what you gravitate towards.
Yeah, because when I read the lore, it said that Mikote are technically an immigrant race. So they don't necessarily have a quote-unquote homeland, but it listed like some of the places that they settle. But it was mainly the sun. Mikote had places listed. It was like, oh, they like Limsa and Aldar because it's sunny and they really like the heat and things like that. And for the moon Mikote, literally all it said was, because they like dark places, they have clans in the Black Shroud. And I was like, that is that it? You got one place to pick from? I was like, I mean, I guess it would make sense because Exa started in Gridania, but at the same time I was like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't found it. Yeah.
You'll see, Blue. You'll see.
Yeah. It did say it was like generations ago, obviously.
Oh yeah, but
yeah,
I went into Stormblood with that knowledge.
Yeah. I guess that's what their reasoning as to why there's no just like here's a home area, in the same way that like if you go to Limsa, you're like, oh, there's loads of Rodagans around here.
Well, the Rodagan, Uldar is where the
Lalafels. Yeah, if you go to Uldar, it's like, oh, there's so many Lalafels here, and obviously there's the Elizon and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, and Kethis.
Yeah, and then but of course you know all that because of the Aura, because obviously they just don't appear anywhere until you get to the next expansion.
Ura exists still Stormblood technically as a playable race. Obviously, certain characters were around before that.
Yes.
Yeah, they weren't a playable race till Stormblood. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun playing through the start of the game and then it's being like, oh, I'm the only Ura.
Oh wait, the moon's got wolf from.
I should specify, in like, I'm pretty sure in official like canon,
yeah,
or Eorzean, you're always Eorzean. Because you're always referred to as an Eorzean.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit about canon. I don't intend to start now. My head of Igni has just been in Eorzea since she was a teenager.
Yeah. Hey, you can get citizenship.
Yeah, for sure. Like, in terms of not knowing about things that happen in Doma, for example, like your like in canon knowledge and awareness of places is very much based on you having always been Eorzean.
Right.
Again, I just headcanon that Ephignia left when she was a teenager and doesn't remember.
I feel I'm not gonna get like X's early life like worked out until I can work out where she's from. So because I haven't physically discovered that in game yet, it's very blank at the moment. Who knows? Maybe I'll find it in Stormblood, or maybe it will be something I find in Shadowbringers. Who knows? Because I feel like obviously Gridania was very me, so it is currently like the #1 category. Whoops.
Oh, your Spotify thing's not.
Whoops.
Come through again.
God, why does it not do that?
It always wants to put
Spotify, why do you not?
The where am I hearing Minecraft music from is such a fucking mood. Like, where have I got it open?
There we go. Thank you, C418, for the royalty-free music. But also, goddamn you, Spotify, for never being detected correctly.
Talk about Final Fantasy, I have to put Ephignia's playlist on again. God damn it.
Oh, I can see you in orbit. Yeah, I can see you flying.
Damn it. I should probably say, on a completely different note, I am doing something very different today. I can't say much about it.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna be rolling a lot of dice.
Nanny?
That's a geezer.
I'm gonna be sorting a lot of stuff and rolling a lot of dice.
Time for lines to warm up the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be time for weekly mystery Pokemon.
Is this the week? Is it finally the week? Won't be.
Look, I rolled Pelipper before I rolled Ninetales.
Sadness. Found sadness at the existence of Pelipper.
What's that? Shiny Pelipper, you say?
No! still angry. That was my first shiny Pokemon.
Oh shit.
Did you catch it or did you leave it?
Did.
Okay, out of spite.
Just because it was the first shiny Pokemon I'd ever encountered ever in my entire life.
Well,
So,
at least you got yours then. My first shiny was an impossible shiny.
Oh,
It was a Poochyena in Pokemon Ruby before I had been given Pokeballs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I reset the game. I was so angry. I had been given my starter, I had been told to go up to the route above to go meet Brendan or whatever, and I went into the grass and it was like, here, shiny Poochyena, and I was just like, shut, power off. So furious.
The dichotomy of my first shiny being my least favorite Pokemon and your first shiny being impossible for you to catch is like brilliant. Like, peak us.
One day I will reclaim that. I will shiny hunt Poochyena purely to reclaim it.
Out of spite.
Yes. My first actual legitimate shiny was a Wild Pidgey in Pokemon Heart Gold.
Hola.
Shiny was a Driftloon? Jesus, that is a catch rate.
Oof. Yeah, no wonder you used the Master Ball.
Ah, Jesus.
I thought it said there wasn't one when that was
To be fair, my first shiny was a Purpur. My first ever legendary Pokemon I one-shot by accident.
Big oof.
I think I've told you that before. Yeah. Back when my first Pokemon game, got up to the legendary, so excited. Was like, okay, I'll use this attack because I don't think it will kill it, and it one-shot it.
Too strong.
This was before I realized that you should save before you do this stuff. F's to Palkia. F's to Palkia, but my Infernape is different.
Wow. And that's a type disadvantage as well.
Yep.
Yeah, wrecked.
Flatten that sort of force.
Sorry, Palkia, and your stock anime cry sound effect, which is just a kaiju. Literally in the film, Palkia's cry, everyone's like, oh, it's so cool, it's really sci-fi because it's the space Pokemon, but then you look it up and it's like it's literally a stock sound effect that appears in like 6 other films.
Okay, how am I rolling tonight?
You
Should
never
we see?
had a shiny? I feel like I have to rectify that. Do you
Immediately
want one of mine?
Am I rolling today? Ooh! 8, 2, 4, 5, 1, 12, 14, natural 20.
Why is that bad?
I'm just testing to see how my d20s are rolling.
Oh, and you got a natural 20, good.
Oh, the other one was a 1, a 4, a 5, and an 11. You 3 dice can remain because you rolled above a 10.
Blue, yellow, and sapphire. Oh, you missed out on gold and silver. I love gold and silver.
I don't think I've played Gold Silver.
Probably my favourite. Well, I would say that the remakes were my favourite
Oh, Gold Silver.
because I love the nostalgia of gold and silver, but I love the modern quality of life changes that Heart Gold had, and also you could it was the first game to be like, hey, you can just have your Pokemon follow you around anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, it can take me Totodile to the park.
Favorite is still Pearl. Still my babies.
Well, that's why you're just super excited because remakes.
Yeah, that's why I'm super conflicted because remakes.
I mean, they come out a full like week, I think, before. It might be a full 2 weeks before Endwalker does.
For Endwalker or the early access for Endwalker?
Can't remember.
What's the remake name? Shining Pearl?
Yes, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
Shining Pearl release date. 19th of November, same day. 19th of November is the day Endwalker comes out.
Well, the early access comes out.
Early access, yeah. When Endwalker comes out for me.
Okay, that was weird.
Very true. We do love the sweet green child. I know
Shop's
that
having a bad day.
I know that the Let's Go games were like conflicting for some people in the fandom because some people liked them and some didn't. I'm very much in the I liked them because I am I'm very easy to please and I'm not one of like hugely meta about things. I know that some people were like, oh, it's like baby games. I'm like, let people like things.
Yeah.
Shh, let people like
My
things.
fun is right, actually.
I can have an Eevee riding around on my hat, and then I can also have Charmander walking behind me.
Good sign that these are the dice that are rolling well.
What are you doing? Is this for Thursday?
It is, yeah. I had less time than I thought I did to test some things.
The DM is plotting my face, and I just have to deal with it.
You have to sit there and fucking watch.
I'm just sitting here and drawing lines because I'm warming up my shoulder.
I have less time than I thought I did. I was hoping to get a test in for certain things before Thursday. And then yesterday I was like, oh shit, we have art stream tomorrow. I was fully intending to do this tomorrow. So I've decided I'm going to do DM prep on art stream because I can.
Yes, you can. It classifies as a creative hobby, and that is the rule.
It is.
We only call it art stream because that's the visual aspect, but the only rule is that you just do something creative. That's a wild swampert, excuse me. That's a wild...
Do something creative, let's go.
There's a wild swampert outside my flat.
My laptop is actively trying to stop me doing this if it makes you feel giggly. It's not letting me open any books or PDFs. It's like, no, you will not know what your shit does.
Nope. First throw. It's probably not even very good. 1 star.
It's trying to plan my next campaign. Goblin mob boss breaks out of prison. Hell yes.
Hell yes.
My laptop's straight up not letting me open PDFs.
I feel like once again I'm at that point where I have to again apologise, where I'm just like, Pokemon D&D is in the back of my brain.
I've noticed because you opened it recently on Roll20.
I did, yes. I am chipping away at it. I want to run it.
I know. Your own time.
I have the rule book.
My rich kid swagger will wait.
Yeah, Larson.
It sounds amazing. It is good.
Yeah, that was my reaction when I discovered it, which was why I invited these nerds to be like, hey, I'm gonna run Pokemon D&D, and then proceeded to only do 1 session.
We did our like session 0 slash.
We did it, yeah. We did
session
session 0 character creation, and then the moment we got past the character creation, I was like, right, I gotta make a plot, and then immediately fell at the first hurdle of crap.
To be honest, we could have RP'd each other off each other for like
True.
an hour because we all made. God.
I love the characters you all made.
Yeah. I have in the end. Do I have Fennekin?
Yes, you went for Fennekin. For the game I made, I based it in Kanto for my own sake. To be like, or, you know, the selection of wild Pokemon are just the Kanto Pokemon, but there are rules for up to Gen... I think Gen 7, yeah.
Fine, let me...
I think there's rules for Pokemon up to Gen 7. But I did it just for the little asterisks if I didn't want to limit the players. I was like, you can make a character.
The starter can be from.
Yeah, you can make your character from a different region, and you've come to Kanto, so your starter at least can be from any region. But the Pokemon that you will find in the wild are going to be Kanto ones.
Which I think meant, apart from Ass, did me and Annie both go for Pokemon that weren't from Kanto?
Yes.
So I remember we had a really long discussion about like, okay, then we should pick a Pokemon that's not Kanto native.
We're gonna need a lot of resin to get us started, mate.
Yes, you did.
Hello, Das. Speak of the devil. Yeah,
you,
my
Das.
character. My character was a he was like a rich teen from.
Kalos.
Yep, I will remember the name of the city.
Lumios?
Lumia City, yeah. She was a rich
See,
kid.
the DM brain remembers this.
I've literally the most recent Pokemon game I played was XY, so I should probably remember this. Yeah,
they have the Hussars on there.
yeah, I played a rich kid from Lumia City
Other units, like,
in Kalos region with a Fennekin. Her name was Phryne. She was very spoiled.
unit with a new mechanic. They actually have
She was also very smart.
elite armor.
She was very smart.
She went to a private school.
She did. She did, darling.
She absolutely did. So yes, and then Annie
People are like,
was
these
from
are-
Sinnoh, ironically,
No,
Yeah.
they usually
and she had
have
Piplup.
hammer,
Yeah.
pickaxe,
You know what Pokemon's D&D? Yeah, boy.
melee unit.
Yes, we were talking about Pokemon, and then D&D got mentioned, so I was the one who brought up of like, I am still working on it in the back of my brain. I'm sorry.
Yes. Because you all get to get tormented by the sound of me rolling these dice and
Yeah.
not knowing what they mean.
Carlos is rolling things, and she refuses to say what they are, but she has confessed that it is for Thursday. Random Pokemon, Jolteon. Yeah, boy.
Hell yes.
They don't have many units.
Adasper's a Kanto boy with
They
Cubone.
don't need them.
Yes.
Can't remember what I called my Fennekin now.
So, yeah, people are looking at them going, these
She
listeners
has
They
got a
give it a
name.
name.
are aware or
I
heritage.
feel like it's a Greek name.
She has got a name.
We need a better source of power.
I feel like it's a Greek name. Is it Circe?
No, she's not Cersei.
Our land.
I've got a terrible feeling it's Iphignia.
It could be.
I think it is.
It might have been a shortened.
Iffy.
If it might be. Okay, I'm just gonna frickin' launch the Roll20
Because I'm in a different Roll 20, so I can't open it right now.
I'm just gonna frickin' open it.
Feel like it's
It might be.
Iphignia.
It might be Iffy. Yeah, I don't think you went for the full one because my brain would have saved it and it would have clocked it when you introduced Iphignia before.
There we go.
No, Izalith.
Izalith! Oh, it's a Dark Souls reference. There we go. Oh yeah, 'cause it's the Witch of Izalith. Yeah.
Izalith. And he has socks.
Oh yes, locks.
Out of here, Das. Gosh, there are so many handouts that I've been gradually doing.
Close it, please. You're doing art.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I've closed the Roll20. Whatever you did, Das, I didn't see it because I closed it. I heard the bloop, but I'd already clicked the button. Right, well, my Pokemon is Jolteon.
The chapter.
Find any copper or glass by any chance?
Oh, I've got a...
Because if we want solar power, which is apparently what this
I remember.
request for, we need copper and glass for it.
Into the wave.
Yeah.
Galatae's real.
It's definitely, as is typical with D&D, that the first few fights at like level 1 and level 2 are probably going to be a little dull because much like
Babies.
it's the meeting of both D&D and Pokemon of you can do one thing.
Yeah.
Tackle!
Yeah. It's your turn.
Hands with
It's your
tackle.
turn. What do you do? I use tackle. Okay. It's your turn. What do you do? I'm gonna use tackle.
I also would like to use tackle, please.
And then you get one person who's like, I'm gonna use tail whip just to mix it up.
Fuck. Oh god, this is reminding me. I'm looking at a book, not because I'm drawing from it, but just because I'm gonna quick reference something. This is a a book of DMD adventures that I've thought of a way to make it into like a campaign, like a short campaign, like a series of them that I would do, or a series of options, and it would all be pre-written. And I should do that sometime.
I mean, that's just my permanent existence of thinking up things and then being like, I should do that sometime, and then I didn't.
In chat, this is a book. It is on the DM's Guild. It's called Uncaged. It's a very good book. I'll read you. Where's the synopsis? It is 25 adventures for tiers 1 to 4. This is I have volume 1. I know there's 2 and 3. It's a series of one-shot adventures, all based on myths.
That's cool.
It's all fantasy, heavily influenced by millennia worth of mythology and folklore from around the world. So it's not like any one mythos. There's a bunch of different mythologies in here. Some of them, most of the stuff is just things from the book that are creatures from mythology that don't have like a lot of lore attached to them in the monster manual, so they built whole adventures around them. Some of them are like reinterpretations. I know there's a massive thing about like Medusa, for example. What's the first one in here?
There's some cool stuff
This one in
DM's
here.
Guild. Also, I discovered when I was looking at DM's Guild the other day that some people literally just make like $2 like characters that you can use. Like they're not the one that really caught my eye was someone who literally like made like a sort of 5-page document that was just a dragon that you could have as a boss, and it was like slightly altered stats, but it had like minions and like people that are their favorite sort of like henchmen, and then sort of like various goals, what their lair is like, what sort of operations they might run, and that was just like a document. And I was like, that's awesome. And
Nice, yeah.
we do that all the time. You can just make a character and then put it on DM's Guild and ask people if they want to give you like $1 for it.
The first one in this book is called The Maid of Waterdeep. It's inspired by The Little Mermaid, and it's set in Waterdeep. So they're kind of like they could do them entirely standalone if you wanted. I've thought of a way you could make it into like arcs essentially.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way up to level, what's the last one? 17 to 20.
That's pretty dope, because that's not something you generally find.
It's only the last one is level 17 to 20, and there's only one of them. Whereas like most of them, so like tier 1 has like 8, tier 2 has a few, tier 3 has like 4, and then tier 4, which is the 17 to 20 only has one.
That's how the game be. Once you're at level 20, it's like, you know, you do one big boss fight, and that's the end of the campaign.
Yeah. I enjoy like looking at some of the hooks that they use, some of the clues and puzzles that they use, because it's all very good.
Health check.
Health check. I have water on me. I do.
I'll be out very quickly because I've just finished my hot chocolate, and like if I don't rinse this out immediately, it's gonna dry
Nasty.
into like a nasty crust. So let me just
Go
rinse
on.
this.
That's what I want. Look, that's just an entire A4 page.
Oh, pizza. We just nice pizza. Okay, we've got some glass on the go.
All your friends are in the game that you run.
Alright.
A lot of chords. Oh yeah,
Just changed this playlist. I swear I was listening to a Figures playlist. What?
Apple bomb.
What if I just changed what playlist I was listening to?
Cool.
Wild. Speaking of, this is not the playlist I want to be listening to right now. Ooh, which one?
Jesus fucking Christ, that was loud.
Go for this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the song. Crank this shit. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. I need.
We also need more reference.
Not gonna try and turn me off for listening to my music too loud. No, 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 no.
I think my last session wasn't one of my greatest, I don't think.
Not a very positive way to frame it.
It was more. I think it was unfortunate in the way that one how Storm Kings is written into how Faerun is designed. Because when my players get to a new city, I like to let them explore, and it seems to me that generally they like doing that. They like going around and finding things. But unfortunately, in the layout of Faerun, they'd gone to Everland. And then, literally, like, a day's travel away from Everland is Silvery Moon. So having just been to Everland and having spent a big session exploring Everland and, like, finding things there, they then went to Silvery Moon, and it was much a case of, like, well, we don't really need anything because we explored the last town. Like, we've restocked on items and food and things like that. So, and we don't want to be doing the same things twice, so we're just gonna kind of go. So,
skip it, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just kind of and it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, I probably personally wouldn't have had you gone to 2 big cities in a row, but, like, the place that they were heading to, that was the direction it was in, so it was just like, well, you're not gonna skip the city, you're gonna go through it, because that's the way... That's the path. So it was,
the way you're going.
Yeah, that's the way you're going. So I was like, well, you arrive at, they look at the map and they go, oh, we'll pass through Silvery Moon on the way there, and they didn't know what Silvery Moon was, and I was like, well, it's this big city, and they're like, well, we've just been to a big city, so we're not that interested in it, and I'm like, yeah. And it can't really be avoided when they go back either. When they head back the other way, it's going to be the same again of like, well, we've got to go for Silvery Moon, and maybe we'll need to go shopping and refill on stuff. And then we'll get to Everland again, and we won't really want to spend any time in Everland because we've just been to Silvery Moon. And I'm like, that's just how the map is.
Do a classic me and just destroy the city.
I think I did an encounter. The encounter was fun. Because in Everland, a Zentarim person was spying on them to gather information, but they caught them. And when they tried to interrogate them, the dude literally put up his hands and was like, "Hey, I'm just a flunky. Like, you can take this up with my manager if you want. But I literally, I just get given the information of go spy on these people. I don't get told why. I'm not important enough to be told why." So they were like, cool, well, give them a message, we want to speak to them. And then unfortunately 3 weeks passed.
Yeah.
So when we then came to the session, I was like, cool, well, on your way to Silvery Moon, you meet a guy on the road who is waiting for you. And he's like, you said you wanted to speak with us. And they were just like, what? Who?
Whomstov?
Whomst? And I was sort of like, you know, the guy in Everland. That was nobody's fault, really. It was just the case of it had been 3 weeks since we'd had a session.
That's always a tough thing.
Yeah. That bit I felt went well. It was very fun. I did the thing which Spook happily reminded me was from Hot Fuzz. I, for some reason, thought it was from Discworld, which was to have someone who literally doesn't do anything, but just writes down everything they say. He's got a clipboard and a quill, and every time they're just like, say anything vaguely aggressive or, hint at anything, I'm like, he writes that down. He writes that down. He puts a little tick, sometimes he does a little cross, flips up a page, circles something, flips it back down. It wasn't a fight. He was non-aggressive the entire time, but it's amazing how quick. It's very passive. It was exceedingly passive, and asking non too friendly questions, like going to the party's druid and being like, "Are you sentient?" I felt like such an arse. I felt like such an arse afterwards, but I literally wrote it in my notes of like, if anybody tries to get aggressive with him, it turns out that he was just an illusion because he wasn't willing to risk getting hurt, and he'd heard that these people were dangerous. And it happened, and that someone was like, oh, I'm just gonna try to snatch this clipboard, and I was like, you just go through him. It's an illusion. Oh, it felt so bad.
It's brilliant.
That was literally the encounter. And again, he just put another tick on the board of like, okay.
That's kind of brilliant. You can hear me smudging. What the fuck does this dice look like? What the? How long have I been playing D&D? I still don't know what the fucking dice look like. That is.
So that bit I liked and think went okay, but the rest of it was not the greatest.
Yeah. Well, we learned though. Even if you have a negative experience, as long as you learned one thing, you won.
Yeah, that is if you're making your own world. Don't put massive cities right next to each other.
Oh yeah, that was a really good answer.
I felt bad as well because when they finally got to the location they were going, again, this is what I was like, it was a mixture of how Faerun is made and how Storm Kings is written. Because when they finally got to the location that they'd been travelling to for ages, they get told that the thing that they're after actually isn't there.
Yeah.
Which is always rough, but, you know, that's rough in any situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're taking a swing.
Yeah.
If you're taking a swing, sometimes you missed.
So that was a little rough, having come like almost immediately after the Silvery Moon of like, we don't really want to do anything here. We're gonna go to the place that we need to go and do the thing we need to do. And then when they get there and it's like, oh, we can't. Crap.
Yeah. It's always kind of sucks when there's just a series of things that are not related to each other in terms of like the what is going to happen there, or the you know, lack of useful information or whatever, that if the players just happen to encounter like 3 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, oh. It's like, well, I didn't intend for it to happen that way. It just
it was one of those unfortunate things where it's like a couple of less than ideal situations happen one after the other, which then culminates in it feeling like a not very good session, which doesn't feel good.
It's always up, and it always is worse from in the brain. Always, yeah. It's a very rare occasion where a player's going to be like, I hated that. Cortex, wow. Cortex is a... Take things I didn't think would come up again for 200, please. Some of these rolls I might do during the session.
When you get back, Saturday. You say it was Saturday to Saturday.
I believe so, yes.
So that would mean I'd only 10, 11, and 12.
The sheer terror of when you click something as a DM when you're like
That's what's
planning
going on.
stuff, and you're like, don't.
10, 11, and 12.
I don't know if that was whispered. And I can't get rid of it in the chat.
I would say, like, kudos to you, Das, because I am finding things in Storm King's Thunder that do sometimes make me go, I don't know if that's necessarily great. When me running it as a DM, I find these things and I'm like, wow, this seemed like so smooth when we played through it. Like, we didn't have any of these issues. Sometimes I sit there and I read through things and I'm like, but how?
It's fine. Should be pretty easy.
Fenlin's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Ran
Oh,
first like
hello.
session or two of Fenlin.
You calling to tell us you've been sick again or something?
Essentially.
Have you had any food now? Yeah. Like, making a homebrew world was fun, but I do like
It's not something I want to
the I wouldn't say lack of pressure. There's still pressure to make sure that the game is good and have everything prepped and prepared and stuff. But it is nice to know that I haven't got to worry about actually making the world. Like when it comes to like, oh, we're gonna get to Silvery Moon, I don't have to have all the information in my brain. It already exists in a book.
Yeah, I get that. Weirdly, thought about this. I think I feel the opposite. Because for me, it's like, well, if it's like not my world, I have to study. That I couldn't. Like, if the players go away, I don't expect, and I haven't read that part. I can't. I don't feel like I can respond to it in a way that's accurate. Whereas if I'm making it all up, it doesn't matter what it is. It just means there's more stress in terms of building blocks, you know.
I may well go back to my homebrew at some point after Storm Kings. I think I'll probably take just a break from DMing in general for a while.
I'm towing this line at the moment where I'm inspired to DM and at my most self-conscious as a DM.
Aww.
I'm inspired at the moment because the last, I told you it was going to come up again, the last, the episode of Fantasy Home I'm watching at the moment, no spoils, but Brennan's running about 7 NPCs and 15 enemies. And it's like, genuinely like, and it's not even like the climactic battle, it's just a battle. And I'm like, amazing to watch. It's like, how are you keeping pace on this? You're running so many people. Yeah, you do have to take breaks as a DM from being like, I need to step back for a sec.
I mean, we get breaks. Like I said, we had like a 3-week break, but it was one of those things where I was like,
There's a difference between taking a break and stepping back.
Yeah, because even though it was a break for a few weeks, every time like the day came round, I was still aware in my brain of like, oh, we should be having D&D today, but it's been cancelled. But I was still thinking about what I would have done if I hadn't. Whereas if I just straight up wasn't DMing, I wouldn't think about it. So there is that.
Yeah. As someone who's watched 2 whole campaigns of this guy now, Das, yeah.
Shrieking ledges here.
He's just very good at what he does. It's kind of inspiring to watch. The combination of watching Brennan, a bunch of Brennan are DMing, and the end of EXU. Peak inspired.
Nice.
Peak inspired and also deeply self-conscious. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for one of my notes. Yeah. Yeah, DMing you have to like, if you're gonna take a step back, you have to take a step back.
Yeah.
You can skip a week here and there if you need the rest, but if you need to like completely refresh, it takes time.
Yeah. Oh, I did from
immensely
my
improve
homebrew.
for like the 3-month gap I took on a cart.
Yeah. Like when I transitioned from doing a homebrew game to doing Lost Mines and Storm Kings, I did have a big break then. It did somewhat coincide with obviously the pandemic hitting, but we'd already sort of decided to have a bit of a break from the homebrew game anyway, and then when the pandemic hit, after a while it was like, oh, we can play D&D online. And I was like, yeah, we can. I can introduce you to Roll20 and stuff.
Combo.
Yeah.
So it may be a case of like, I don't know, when Storm Kings ends, we may say, hey, let's go back to the homebrew game playing at the table, because I don't think I couldn't do that through Roll20. But then also having a bit of a
It'd need a break, yeah.
Yeah. Just to not think about anything for a bit.
Yeah.
And to sort of get back into, I guess, my own world as well. Because I've not had to think about it.
Yeah.
I sometimes think about various things, but not in a very serious way. Whereas obviously I'm much more present in Faerun, partly because I'm DMing it, but also because I'm also a player in it.
Yeah.
So much like with a lot of
That's to look forward to tomorrow.
much like with a lot of games, you just sort of become aware and learn a lot of the lore.
Yeah, you're just in it.
Yeah, through osmosis, as with Kika in the last session when she was like, "Oh, you mean the frickin' volcano that is right there?"
I just didn't know.
You mean the volcano that's right next to Neverwinter? And that was definitely me bleeding through of like, I know that there's a volcano there because I've DM'd here.
It's good that you do, because I for sure did.
It's like, I know that there's a volcano there that you can see from Neverwinter, so Kika would know that there's a volcano.
You about the volcano like 3 years ago? In what context? And you definitely didn't tell it to me specifically.
It was in Lost Mines. The reason that Thunder Tree had ash zombies is that ash came from the volcano.
A, that's a lot more than 3 years ago, and B, I would never have remembered. I didn't even remember that we fought ash zombies. Yeah, that was 5 years minimum. Neverwinter MMO. Didn't interact with the volcano. Think that, like, as if this is a thing that comes up a lot. It's not. This is a thing that's been mentioned maybe twice in my entire life.
Which is fair. So, you know, the things just being mentioned once is, or even twice, is generally not enough to get it memorized. It's
wasn't
just
important for me to know any of those times.
It's just another prime existence of my brain where it's like, important stuff, can't remember that. Random bits of lore from a D&D game, better put that into long-term storage.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could remember stuff that was more important.
I feel that. I definitely feel that. First dice is gone. Made a meme about how many dice I would drop during the stream. I have just dropped one. And it's the one that was rolling well. Okay, I'm actually gonna have to get this 1 second.
No, wait, come back.
The only dice that can roll above a 10 right now that I have.
nice.
Nice.
Let's take the rest and go. Just the two of us. Huh? Just kidding. What's gotten into you? You're the one that's changed. Maybe.
I swear to God, when I drop dice, they leave the mortal plane.
Ah, sweet, stepping into the water gets rid of the blight. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're hot springs.
I'm gonna BRB because I'm gonna have to actually take my headset off. 1 second.
Okay. We'll finish this together. I'll race you. Don't ever do it. Well, I can't wait. Once we set sail. It'll be great.
These back legs.
was a fucking wild ride.
Huh?
I return.
Pray return.
Return dice was helping me. And a dice that I did not think I had lost. I thought it was still in my box. Apparently was also under there. I also uncovered something I also thought I hadn't lost, but was also down there.
Oh, wow! Yeah, I can see what that is.
Boy, Gyarados. Come on. One coin.
Yeah, I have several to hand.
I have two of them.
Useful for D&D.
One of which is lucky, and this is my spare. My lucky one is my gold shaman.
Oh.
Alright, ledge is close.
To hand, I currently have 2 purple Genesect, which were from the packs I opened yesterday, and a green Rayquaza. And
Very
I
nice.
think also hiding under here, there's two green Rayquaza, and a Rowlet.
Hey!
And this Rowlet,
I
this
have-
Rowlet coin specifically is kept to hand because it was actually given to me. It was a gift.
It was a gift. Yeah, I think my gold shaman is either in my purse or it's in my box with the Pokemon cards. 'Cause I think when I actually played Pokemon was the coin I used.
Nice.
So, this dress is so covered in dust right now. That was the dark place right there. How's this dice rolling now that I've retrieved it from the forbidden place? 6. Curse. This one? 11. Okay.
Wait, what? Went off the map. I just captured it. Yeah, it flew just on the outer bounds of it, which removes you from grappling onto it. So I can go into the lava areas and oh, the process. Then walk over that, it immediately kicks you off because you're not allowed in those areas, they're out of bounds. Oh, there we go. Plus I've got to trap it. Easy peasy. Starry, starry night. Paint your palette blue and grey. It's a lot of blue.
Come back with soluble. There's a brain versus brick wall kind of thing today, apparently. I don't know how to do that metaphorically, Das.
Oh, like Diablos. Right. Savage Evolution. Please wait till the question is loaded. What is happening?
How many times tonight am I going to do things on the wrong layer?
There
Theme of the night. Oof, I am dissociating. Hello. Hello.
Oh boy.
Like that literally less than an hour and a half ago I explained this whole thing to my brother and like spoke to him about it at length, and in that time I have completely forgotten.
Oh.
Oh boy.
are focused on this Jolteon now.
Colouring is easy to focus on. Shading now and painting, that's different than just putting flat colours. That's why they sell colouring books.
Love that shit. I haven't done a colouring book in a while. I have a few of them that I was working through. Gotta find my Shakespeare one.
Of course you have a Shakespeare one.
It was a gift!
Of course it was.
Very good one. I think it's actually in that box over there.
Go through one of them. How many more have you got left to do? Oh, there's four.
So that better not be down, because I need it.
Obviously, apart from a couple of arena quests, but we can sort them out afterwards. That's not a big issue.
Ooh. Not working. That's bad news for me. That prevents some things. I was having a bad day. Laptop's actively trying to stop me. It's trying to stop me from doing Thursday.
Being DDoSed.
You guys are like, take her out, pull the trigger, Piglet. Fight Club is straight up not working.
Is it not? I was on there earlier today. That's a recent occurrence in that case.
Might try it on my other laptop, see if it's my laptop problem. Sip. Full health check.
Take a sip.
Fight Club. Fight Club is working. It is a me problem.
Sounds like a you problem, bud.
Fuck, what encounter did I balance the last time I was using this other laptop? Jesus Christ. Oh, I actually do know which encounter that was.
Ah.
I was looking at the list of player levels I'd put in here, and I was like, what the fuck kind of encounter was this? Too many NPCs around you. This time you won't be so lucky. It's also
That's
not
what you think.
Fuck is happening? He's trying to stop me! Wait, hold up, it's not responding. Okay, thank god. I can start typing something, or I can hit random and just nothing happens, so...
Huh.
It's having a bad day. Fine, I was just gonna check something anyway. Fight Club is a good way to quickly check where something is. I can remember what it's called, but not what book is in. Okay, I need to like... How do I break out of this dissociative state? I think I need to write exactly what I need to do. I'll just think I need to do stuff. But... My dice out the way. Yeah, exactly. You know how Cobalt Fight Club works. Use it on the weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, there are a number of websites that for DMing are just invaluable. Cobalt Fight Club is one of them.
Yeah.
Even though CR is bullshit, It's just,
It's a guideline.
it's a good guideline, yeah. Good guideline, yeah. What like websites do I rely on? 2-Minute Tabletop. 2-Minute Tabletop, Cobble Fight Club, The Monsters Know What They're Doing. What else have I got on my frequently used DMing tools? Stat block generator. I mostly use stat block generator because it remembers the stat block you're working on, so I mostly use it just to keep big stat blocks. Yeah, I think they're the main ones.
I know of Civ, but I think what it means by that is that you actually play the historical civilization.
I have Dungeon Scroll on here, but I haven't actually had to use it yet.
Similar, it's like you
Griffin Saddlebag.
follow what they do, but you can choose to not do what they do. Is what I'm gauging from that. A convergence of culture, history, and values that allows you to create a civilization that is as unique as you are. How far will you push humankind? Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. I use CR for just an idea of like what tier a monster is. Is this a tiny baby tier? Is this a low tier, medium tier, high tier? I don't like use it exactly. Just an idea of a range, you know.
Yeah. When you're, I also use it for when I'm like making stuff for work and things, because it's one of those things where it's like, yes, CR is garbage, and even Wizards of the Coast have acknowledged that CR is garbage, but because it's their system, it's like, you have to use it. It's like, this thing needs to have a CR made for it, and I have to use the calculations that they've written in the book.
Yeah. Here's as well where I homebrew a lot, or at least modify a lot. I have no way of knowing when I modify something if I've made it, if I've just broken it.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of homebrew stuff, it's like, the only way you'll know is if you playtest it.
It's like, yeah. I end up in this situation here where I'm like, well, I've fucked around with that, so I should probably make sure that's not just gonna one-shot something.
I fucked around, now it's time to find out.
Yeah, I fucked around. It's better to fuck around and find out before you run a session.
And it literally talks in like a cinematic way about how someone who was playing as
I'm writing a
Africa
list.
fought against the Roman legion, but instead of Rome being one of the superior empires of history, the Africans won, and then because of that, she then went on to conquer Spain and become the Queen of Spain. And then from Spain, she allied with Japan and went up against the Indies. So she literally rewrote Africa's history through the game. I guess so, yeah, because that's probably
Oh, you put Medusa just to save yourself from typing out Medusa, but I just think of Medusa from Hades.
Yep.
Sweet friend.
Politics rather than war, and it's like you just get them. So I'm assuming there's going to be something akin to that in the game of you can just decide this is normally what
Yeah, bud.
Africa would have done at this point in history, and you can go, I do this. I'm going to take France. Why? Because fuck the French.
What?
Excuse me. What? They can't do that. Too many people need them.
Yeah.
That's a really useful resource. I'm gonna be screwed if they close. Then I have to do calculations manually, and that hurts my brain.
Someone else will make a tool for it. Ah, I see.
Can't remember the
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Go on then. I can do the game that we'll play for a little bit because it's Affiliate Studios. I imagine this is going to be good, and I mean the ratings that it's received are good. So Amplitude, not Affiliate.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. The first video. Have you seen the space bit?
It's a technical thing. It's
It's an American astronaut getting down from the spaceship, like in the whole sort of one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. He walks across the
two
planet, and
things.
then a guy
There's
comes
a
up behind
technical
him with
issue
the Brazil
that's
flag and just decks him
really
in the
like
face.
not a thing that's it's completely out of their hands. Because Cobble Fight Club is drawing from 3 different databases that are all stored in Google Sheets,
Oh.
and they are not letting them do that anymore.
Crap.
Either because of some weird ping limit within Google Sheets or something like that. But then on the other hand, there are 2 people who run that website and keep it up to date, and they are tired. So, for now, they're not like closing it, but for now it is offline. Yeah. The actual Google Sheets that they post to, you can find, and there are links to them, like here, for example. So, those still exist if as like master posts of monsters if you need. It just means they're not searchable in the same way, you know.
Oh my god, the space, the astronaut scene is literally like it turns into the freaking the riders at Rohan.
Yeah, I think we've learned today.
There's just every nation in the world just sending astronauts over a dune on the moon, and then they're all picking up their fucking flags and charging at one another like they're spears.
Well, that's funny.
I'm looking forward to this now. This should be good. Being there. Yeah.
Okay. Mind that then. Okay. Do that.
Installation successful. Tomorrow then, I'm guessing. Yes, it's going to take like an hour to install.
Okay. Let's say.
Let's